What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII, and let's go really in depth. I'm a little bit worried about the remake, and I think it's just the fact that it has such a high standard. It seems like the people who are working on this have no idea what they actually want it to be. Final Fantasy VII, in my opinion, is the greatest game of all time, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm being serious. I've beaten this about 30 times. I've bought every single version of it, including this one on the PlayStation 4 and the weird Chinese bootleg version on the NES. I've played a lot of Final Fantasy VII, and it's because it's such an engaging little adventure. The materia system works, the characters are all super engaging, every aspect of this is so well crafted, and it seems like the director of the remake is a little bit worried about living up to that potential. Now, the reason I'm the most worried is because just in the last couple days, the director did a big Q&A at this Final Fantasy fan event, and some people were asking about how apparently the character models have been changed just in the last year. Now, at this point, we've seen almost nothing of the FF7 remake other than about 45 seconds of gameplay and 8 or 9 screenshots. That is it. That alone is pretty worrying, but now, at this event, he specifically stated that they have reworked the characters completely since those original teasers. Everybody now looks a lot closer to the way they did in the original game. Now that's cool, and I'm glad they're doing that, but it just shows how early they are in development. You can't exactly rework an entire character's appearance really late in development. It means that they're still just starting on this game, and it drives me crazy because I feel like a lot of people are probably starting to lose focus. A lot of people are probably starting to even forget that we're getting this remake. They originally showed off that teaser years ago. I mean, what was that, 2014? How can you keep people strung along this long and hope that they're going to stay dedicated and hope that people are still interested? Now, of course, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to sell like crazy no matter what when it comes out, but more and more, I'm getting very, very worried about what this game is going to be. Now, let's not forget the fact that the original developers have already been fired. This was at first being made by a team called CyberConnect, and they were making this as a big trilogy, and I was very excited. I love CyberConnect's previous work on the Dot Hack games, but suddenly, everybody in a day gets fired. Everybody loses their job, and suddenly Square Enix spins this as a positive thing, being like, oh, we just wanted to move the development in-house. We wanted to be more able to keep a close eye on this. But the fact that even now they're making massive changes to the entire characters, probably the entire world, and they don't even have a clear release date, it makes me very, very, it just really troubles me. Now, I feel like what we need at this point is a demo. Now, that doesn't sound like a major thing, but at this point, just a simple demo that lets us see what this game is turning out like would really, really help. The demo we got for Final Fantasy XV is arguably quite different from the final game. The characters seem a little bit different behavior-wise, the audio isn't the best, and it's not optimized super efficiently. However, I feel like it did a very good job of giving us a full understanding of what the game's going to be like. After you played the Final Fantasy XV Dusky demo, you understood what that was going to be. Now, I feel like that was very important because, keep in mind, Final Fantasy XV originally started out as Final Fantasy Versus 13. Over the 10 years of its development, it took on many different forms, and only in this final version do we get it as Final Fantasy XV. And my worry is that Final Fantasy VII Remake is starting to follow that path. It almost seems like it's being rebuilt, remade, and reformed within the company itself. It almost seems like they're trying to figure out what the final vision should be instead of just continually working on it. Now, Final Fantasy VII has so many moving parts to it. There's the big mini-games like snowboarding, there's the car chase scene in Midgar, there's all the really big plot points, and redoing all those, I understand, is a lot of pressure. It's really, really difficult. But My trouble with all this is I feel like they're trying so hard to stick to the original game that maybe they're being slowed down by just trying to obsessively keep to the original Final Fantasy VII themes. At this point, we've actually seen lots of different versions of Final Fantasy VII when you really think about it. We've seen the prequel in Crisis Core, which was much more action-focused and showed us the story of Zack. We saw a far-distant sequel, Dirge of Cerberus, which was a third-person shooter and, in my opinion, totally sucked. And we also got Advent Children. Now, I liked Advent Children so much, the day it came out in Japan, I managed to import a copy and I watched it 3 times in Japanese. There wasn't even subtitles. I literally just watched it 3 times over. But thematically and just seeing all these big scenes was so epic to me, even though I had no idea what was going on. Now, I feel like Square Enix is kind of getting afraid of their own project. They've already told everybody, alright, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake time, and now they don't actually know how to deliver on that promise. They're so fixated on trying to create the ultimate Final Fantasy VII experience, they're kind of forgetting the fact that they've already innovated on the original designs. I can say, as somebody who is obsessed with Final Fantasy VII, somebody who is currently wearing a Final Fantasy VII shirt, I don't mind if you change stuff. I don't mind if Cloud has a slightly different voice than I imagined, or if he's thinner or bulkier. I don't mind if Barrett has slightly different lines in some of the major scenes. At this point, I just want it all to flow together. I'm okay with it not being turn-based. I'm okay with having some of the major boss fights possibly removed or dramatically changed. I just want the game to actually come out. And I want it to come out relatively soon. At this point, they're already talking about the fact that it's probably going to be a 2019 game, but I'm getting a little bit nervous that this is going to be a PlayStation 5 project. From what I've heard, it looks like they want the PlayStation 5 to come out late 2019 or early 2020. So if this is still supposed to be the Final Fantasy VII trilogy, I'm still thinking at this point we could get Final Fantasy VII Episode 1 Midgar on PS4, Episode 2 Cetra on freaking PS5, and then freaking the third one, on PlayStation 6. This is dragging stuff out far too long. I understand that art takes time, but simultaneously, if you're proud of something, we need to see it. Anytime I'm working on a project and I get really hyped for it, I want to tease people. I want to post stuff on Twitter. I want to talk about the editing process. I want to let people in behind the scenes. And I've seen the same thing with video games. While they were making Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, they were very, very inviting to all sorts of journalists coming behind the scenes, meeting the actors, seeing concept art, really giving people a deep look as to how the game was being made. The secretive nature and the fact that we're seeing almost nothing on Final Fantasy VII continues to fill me with fear. I want this game to be good. I want this game to be amazing. I want this game to be better than the best game ever made. But at this point, I just want to be able to play it. Despite all the ups and downs that this has had so far, I'm still optimistic. I like this director, and I think that the game has a lot of potential. Obviously, it's based on one of the most groundbreaking RPGs ever made. But I'm still so worried. I feel like E3, if they don't come out at E3 and show me a big, long, 10-minute demo of this game actually running, at this point, I'm assuming it's not going to be out for another 2 or 3 years. Square Enix is getting so obsessed with trying to slow stuff down that I feel like they're forgetting to even come out with new content. We need the next big game. Look, I'll even go so far as to say I am totally fine with the idea of Final Fantasy VII working the same way as Final Fantasy XV. I'm okay with the idea of buying a game and continually getting like a big season pass every year. Something that introduces smaller bite-sized chunks where I play as a specific hero or go on a specific adventure. I'm okay with that. The games as a service model being implemented with Final Fantasy VII could be a really interesting experiment if nothing else. However, we just need the game in our hands. Deliver us a product, good or bad, at some point, in the next, hopefully, year. Give us a demo, or we're all going to die of starvation just being hungry to play it. But these have just been my random thoughts on Final Fantasy VII as an ultra fanboy. What do you think about it? Are you still even excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake, or at this point, have you completely forgotten about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you actually have a specific feature you're hoping that they add or remove, tell me all about it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I'm sorry about that dog barking. That's the neighbor, and it just keeps going. So, I'm going to hold up. I'm such a Final Fantasy fanboy. I own the Final Fantasy awful movies on Blu-ray. I own Final Fantasy games. I own everything Final Fantasy. But still, 7 is the best. Oh, hi. I'm just working on the next video. If you want to see what it is, go ahead and click this button and you can subscribe. Also, if you click these video links, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. Now I'm just going to sit here for a minute and wait for you to subscribe. Oh, I guess I could put on these giant glasses. I literally found these on a roller coaster.